At a dinner party, someone throws a casual insult at you and your mouth stops working, not because you are too polite to respond, but because your brain has hit an emergency shut-off valve. You sit there, fork frozen mid-air, while everyone waits for the witty comeback that never comes. And what do they think? That you are weak, or sulking, or worse, that you are doing it on purpose. But what if going quiet when you are hurt is not a choice at all? What if it is your brain's most extreme survival tactic, one that could be silently wrecking your relationships, your career, and even your health? The quiet ones are not weak. They are caught in a neurological trap most people do not even know exists. Take Maya, a 32-year-old graphic designer. At her own birthday dinner, her best friend made a joke about her being forever single that landed like acid. Maya felt the blood rush to her face, but her voice vanished. She could not form a single word. For the rest of the night, she smiled and nodded like a malfunctioning robot. Her friends assumed she was overreacting. In reality, Maya's brain had detected a social threat. It could not fight or flee, so it hit the brakes. She was not giving anyone the silent treatment. She was being silenced by her own nervous system. So, what exactly happens inside the brain when someone goes quiet after being hurt? It is called emotional flooding. When an emotional wound is deep enough, the amygdala, your brain's alarm system, hijacks the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for language and logical thinking. Blood flow shifts away from the frontal lobes, leaving you unable to string a sentence together. You are not thinking, "I will ignore them to teach them a lesson." You are thinking, well, nothing, because the thinking part of your brain is offline. It is like trying to type an email while someone is pulling the power cord out of the wall. Only the threat is not a fist, it is words. The brain treats words like physical threats, especially when they come from someone we love. But why do some people go quiet while others scream, cry, or throw things? The answer goes back to childhood. If you grew up in an environment where expressing anger or sadness made things worse, you learned to suppress those emotions before they reached your mouth. Your brain built a superhighway between hurt and shutdown. The louder the person hurting you got, the quieter you became, because silence was the only state that felt safe. By the time you are an adult, that wiring is set in stone. You are not choosing silence. You are living inside a reflex you built when you were 7 years old and your mum screamed at you for crying. Here is the uncomfortable twist. The quiet person is not making the other person feel bad. They are making the other person feel unheard. And that is often worse. Imagine you are arguing with your partner and they suddenly go mute. Your anger spikes because their silence feels like disrespect, like they are checking out. You may start yelling louder, trying to get any reaction, but the louder you get, the more their brain floods and the deeper they retreat. It is a feedback loop that turns a minor disagreement into a war. The quiet person is not trying to punish you. They are drowning, and the rope you are throwing is made of more words. But the damage starts long before the argument. Because chronic silence does not just hurt relationships, it rewires the brain. Every time you suppress a strong emotion, you are strengthening the habit of suppression. Over time, the neural pathways for expressing feelings become weaker, like a road that is never used. You may find yourself unable to name your own emotions, a condition called alexithymia. Instead of feeling sad or angry, you feel a vague pressure in your chest that you cannot describe. You go to the doctor for stomach pain, for headaches, for insomnia, and they find nothing. But the silence is screaming inside you, and your body is the only one hearing it. Here is what the quiet person is actually doing in that moment. You think they are just sitting there, maybe pouting, but inside they are running a marathon. Suppressing an emotion requires enormous cognitive effort. Their muscles are tense, their heart rate is elevated, and their mind is a hurricane of unspoken responses that they are manually holding down. They are burning calories just to keep from exploding, and they are losing because the body always keeps the score. The unexpressed anger becomes back pain, the swallowed grief becomes migraines, the suppressed love becomes chest tightness. They are not calm. They are a pressure cooker with the lid superglued on, and the pressure valve is broken. So why does silence wield so much power in relationships? Because it forces the other person to fill the void. When you go silent, the other person starts projecting their own fears onto you. They think, she is planning to break up with me, or he thinks I am an idiot. Your silence becomes a mirror, and the other person sees their own worst insecurities reflected back. That is why silence can feel more cruel than words. Insults are finite. Silence is infinite. The person who is silent is not actually doing anything, but the other person experiences it as a form of psychological torture. And the worst part, the silent person often has no idea. They are just trying to survive the moment. The most unfair part is how society judges the quiet ones. In a culture that celebrates verbal fluency and speaking your truth, those who go silent are seen as emotionally immature, but the loud ones are not necessarily more mature. They are just better at externalizing. They scream, they cry, they make a scene, and then they feel better. The quiet ones swallow it, and it eats them from the inside. We call it being mature or keeping your composure, but that composure is a cage. It is the same cage that keeps men from reporting mental health issues and keeps employees from speaking up about toxic bosses. We have mistaken silence for strength when it is often a trauma response, wearing a business suit. If you are the one who goes quiet when hurt, please understand this. Your silence is not a personality flaw. It is a survival skill you developed to protect yourself, and it worked until it did not. The same reflex that saved you as a child is now strangling your adult relationships, but you can learn to unflood. The first step is recognizing the early signs of flooding: a tightening in your chest, a buzzing in your ears, the urge to look away. That is your cue to take a time out. Yes, a time out. Say, I need a moment, and physically leave the room. It will feel unnatural, like walking off a stage in the middle of a play, but it gives your prefrontal cortex time to come back online. A 20-minute break can reset the nervous system. The argument will still be there, but you will have words for it. And if you love someone who goes quiet, stop demanding instant answers. Pushing them to talk right now is like asking someone who is drowning to explain hydrodynamics. Instead, lower your voice, slow your breathing, and give them space. Say, I will be in the next room. Take your time. That simple act of patience can be more disarming than any argument. It signals to their brain that the threat is gone and the words can come back. And when they do speak, listen without interrupting. The quiet ones often have the most profound things to say because they have been editing their thoughts in silence for years. In the end, the psychology of people who go quiet when they are hurt is not about weakness or manipulation. It is about a brain that chooses safety over self-expression, even when that choice costs them everything. The next time you see someone fall silent after a harsh word, do not assume they are ignoring you. They might be fighting a battle you cannot see in a language they cannot speak. And the next time you are the one who goes quiet, remember, your silence is not your enemy. It is a signal, a very loud signal that something needs to change. The question is not why you went quiet. The question is what you do with the silence after. If you liked this video, there is more like this, so follow the channel for the next one.